guys, this is Chad here at Happy Viking Games. Today we're going to talk about the new Gatecrash cards and the new mechanics for the guilds. We'll start with Poros. Poros is the red-white guild, and if you're drafting this set, this is the most straightforward guild you can go. Because what the Poros guild tries to do is it tries to just swarm you and attack with guys. Their guild mechanic is called Battalion, and what Battalion does is whenever you have guys with Battalion in play, whenever they attack with at least two other creatures, they get an ability, whether it's first strike, whether it pumps their guy, whether it gets them flying. It's just something extra just for having more guys in play. And so for this guild, your strategy should be just to draft a bunch of guys and just try to kill your opponent as quick as possible. Because going long with this guild, you're going to lose. But if you get all these 2 drops that have Battalion that gain flying, or like this guy gets first strike, so he becomes a 3-2 with first strike as long as you attack 2 other guys, that's kind of hard to block. He's kind of hard to deal with. So this guild's obviously very straightforward. It's the best if you like to attack and you're a very aggro player. So we'll move on to the next guild. The next guild we'll talk about is Gruul, and Gruul is red-green. The mechanic that Gruul has in this set is called Bloodrush, and what Bloodrush does is almost all their creatures have this ability to where you can pay a certain amount of mana. It differs from card to card, but you can pay some mana and discard a creature from your hand to give an attacking creature basically a pump spell. Either give them plus or first strike, or just some kind of cool thing that helps it win in combat against other creatures. And so what this guy does is he's 5 mana for a 5/4, but he has this ability to Bloodrush so you can pay 3 mana to discard from your hand to give an attacking creature +5/+4. And so the Gruul deck is just trying to stick a couple of threats and then just discard the rest of their things that they don't need to deal massive damage for things that get through. So again, this, like Poros, is a very straightforward guild. It's just trying to play a couple threats and attack through, but it's a lot of fun to play. Because sometimes you can just kill your opponent. The next guild we'll talk about is going to be Simic. Simic is the blue-green guild in this set. And Simic is kind of cool. The ability that it has in this set is called Evolve. And what Evolve does is whenever a creature comes into play under your control, if it has a greater power or a greater toughness than any of your creatures with Evolve, then the creatures with Evolve get a +1/+1 counter permanently. So, for instance, this guy's a 2/1 with Evolve. If we played a 3/1, he would get a +1/+1 counter because the power is greater than the power. If we played a 1/4, he would get a +1/+1 counter because the toughness is greater than the toughness. It doesn't have to both be greater, it's just one side has to be greater. And so Simic is really cool because you're swarming the board, you're filling the board up with all these creatures, and you're just playing more guys, and all of your guys are getting bigger, and it's very hard to sit and play defense against the deck because their threats just get enormous very quick. This is a very fun guild to play, and there's a lot of play with counters. All of your guys get counters, and a lot of creatures do things when counters get on them and stuff like that. So again, this whole guild revolves around counters and Evolve, and it's pretty cool. Alright, the next guild we'll talk about is going to be Dimir. And Dimir is the blue-black guild, and this is probably the most interesting of the mechanics. It's the mechanic that the Dimir guild has is called Cipher. And what Cipher does is, when you cast a spell with Cipher, it does its initial effect. Like this puts 3 cards from the top of their deck into their graveyard. But then, after you've cast it, you can exile this card underneath a creature. So let's say you had a creature in play. You cast this, they mill 3 cards, and then you can now exile this creature. And that means every single time this creature deals damage to a player, you get to cast the spell again. And so a lot of the Dimir cards are built around being unblockable or have flying or with evasion. And they make their creatures are very elusive, and they don't do a lot of damage, but they're going to get through. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to play all your Cypher spells. And the reason why that's cool is because the Dimir guild is not trying to kill you. It's just trying to take the cards out of your deck so you lose by decking. So it's a very fun, interesting strategy that adds something to draft, which it's been there before, but it's never been so dedicated. There's never had a dedicated set of cards to just killing your opponent by decking them. And so that makes this draft format very interesting, and I like this guild. And the last guild we're going to talk about is going to be Orzhov. And Orzhov is black-white. The black-white guild is very defensive. This guy doesn't look very defensive because he's a 2/2 flyer for 3, but the guild as a whole is defensive, and their ability is called Extort. What Extort does is every time you cast a spell, you can pay an extra mana if you have a guy with Extort out to deal them 1 damage and you gain 1 life. It pretty much drains me. And if you have multiple guys with Extort out, you can do it more than once for each spell. So let's say you had 3 guys with Extort out, and you had 5 mana, and you played a 2/2 for 2 mana. Well, you can use your extra 3 mana, and you can deal them 3 and gain 3. And this incremental damage adds up so much over time. And it's very hard for the aggro deck sometimes to deal damage to you because you're gaining so much life and also getting damage in. So this is a very defensive deck where you're just trying to use all of your resources all the time to gain these incremental advantages to take over the game. So this guild is, you don't want to draft this guild if you're trying to attack. You really don't. It's more for the defensive-minded people, and I like this guild personally. I think Extort's a very good ability, but yeah, these are the mechanics in Gatecrash, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and we'll see you next time.